Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Hey, what's going on, family? This is Tyler from No Picks Podcast.
What's up, fam? Joe, No Picks Podcast.
All right, Joe. So I think this next topic I'm about to bring up would probably be, if not our most controversial, it'd be up there with some of the most controversial ones, right? So you know the dude Charlie Kirk, right?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a Republican.
Yeah.
He used to mess with Candace Owens, but I don't know if they still close anymore. But
Oh, he did. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So basically, what I see a lot of him on TikTok is he goes around the college campuses and like debates the college kids on the John. Normally
Right.
embarrasses them, makes them look really bad because he's a really smart dude, right? So I have a clip from him that I found on TikTok, of course, and I thought it was interesting. I'm really interested to hear your perspective on it. I have a feeling that you and I might not see eye to eye on this, but
Oh boy.
here we go.
All right, let's see.
You're right. Black Americans are in prison far greater than a percentage of the population. So Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes.
About half of all prisoners are Black.
Exactly.
So Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders. They commit more arsons. They commit more kidnappings. For example, Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders. That's not a war on drugs. That's a culture problem.
Okay, so let's talk about that culture. Black people have been legislatively subjugated up until 1965. I'll give it, honestly, it's later, but let's just say 1965. You do not think that 10 generations of legislative subjugation and slavery during that time, 4,000 Black men, women, and children are lynched as the result of race riots in this country? You do not think that these things have a lasting effect? We have had 10 generations of subjugation and 4 of legislative freedom.
Of course they have an impact, but it's more on you to explain why things got worse since the Civil Rights Act. More violent, less fathers around, poorer. Why is that?
Because of mass incarceration and the unfair criminalization of Black men.
But let's just take murders, for example. Why Blacks are 13% of the population and commit 58% of the murders? Why is that?
Because people in affluent and whiter neighborhoods are not being policed at the same rate. There
Murders.
are more
Murders.
police.
I'm talking about dead bodies. There's no, we're not talking about policing. We're talking about murders. Why are so many Blacks committing murders outside of their population?
Okay, let's take it back to some history.
I'm curious for an answer to that question.
I'm going to give you one. So let's go to redlining. Okay, redlining.
Redlining
yes.
Is why so many Blacks are killing each other?
No.
You're right. Black Americans are in prison far greater than a percentage of the population. So
all right. So this was an interview on Jubilee. That's a YouTube channel, whatever. They just took a couple snippets of it, made it, compatible for TikTok in little segments. That was one segment of, the interview. This is gonna be a tough conversation, obviously, between you and I. But what do you think of what Charlie Kirk had to say about our people? And the crime and the murder, and you know what I mean? Like,
so first and foremost, I'll say the chick that was sitting across from him trying to argue the point was a horrible representation for our side of the story, our argument. Like I don't think she was arguing our side at all, at all. So I don't think that she was just prepared or she just didn't know how to answer the question, but she wasn't a good representation of us. I'm sorry. Like, I'm listening to her response and I make sure, are you struggling right now with this response? Like, I'm not feeling this response at all. I feel like at a certain point,
it's tough, bro.
It's tough.
I see the gears.
Bro, but
it's tough, bro. It's tough to.
So maybe the conversation will take a different direction that we can actually agree on, because this is how I feel initially, right? And I feel like at a certain point, the whole, but my family was enslaved, the whole, we went through centuries of racism, the whole, we went through Jim Crow. Like, after a certain while, like especially when you're decades removed from all that stuff, you can't just fall on that no more and say this is why this continues to happen, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I really feel at first. Like, I feel like, especially when I was super radicalized in college, when I was much more liberal, way more liberal, like super radical, I could see myself making similar points that the chick was making. It's because of systemic racism. It's because of over policing. It's because we've been criminalized through all these laws that basically criminalize Black people. It's a crime to be Black, and it's this and it's that. And I'm not saying a lot of the stuff has gone away completely. I'm not saying it's completely gone. But the thing is, at a certain point, it's like, okay, the system is rigged. The system was rigged against us. We had disadvantages off rip. We were enslaved for centuries. We didn't have access to education. Okay, all that is true, right?
Right.
But I'd say at least since 1965, which is when the
Right.
Civil Rights Act was passed, we've had way more access to education.
Yeah.
Affirmative action made sure that we were getting slots in different jobs, even things like DEI. If that's the same as affirmative action, we had programs in place to make sure that we were getting representation in colleges and different jobs and different spaces. Even if we weren't qualified, we were getting slots because of race. So they have put things into place to try to level the playing field. Of course,
Right.
more can be done, but like they've tried. But all I'm saying now is that now in 2024,
Yeah.
bro, I was born in 87. So I'm almost 40, so I've lived through a lot. So I'm an 80s baby. I'm a late 80s baby, but I'm an 80s baby, and I saw what happened through the 90s and the early
Yeah.
2000s. We've had so many advances. We've had so many ways that we have caught up. Maybe not in like, what I'm saying is like at a certain point it sounds like a broken record when you keep blaming it on the
Yeah.
white man. When you keep
Yeah.
blaming the cultural failings that we have on the white man, on the government, on
Yeah.
slavery, it's like, bro, at a certain point it's like, when are we going to stop using this as an excuse
Yeah.
and actually just start actively changing our culture?
Right.
So that's my first thought.
I mean, listen, I've brought this like what listen when he brought up the our total population versus the amount of specifically murders and homicides that we commit. He said black people make up 13% of the population, but they make up 58% of all reported homicides in America. I don't think you can explain, or I've never heard a credible argument as to you know why like I've never heard a credible argument as to how that's explainable. I've never heard a single one. Everything I've ever heard was systemic this, systemic that. Okay, cool. Even if you want to go that route, okay.
Right.
But why the murders? Like, if you want to say over policing, I'm cool with over policing. If you want to say, black people if you want to talk about crack, weed, whatever other drug you want to talk about, yeah, I could agree with that, because that's like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's true. Like, minority neighborhoods are over policed. I would agree with that, right? However, when you talk about murder, like, murder isn't included in that. Like, you have to kill someone else. So like he said, there's a body. There is no like, that is wrong, right? Like,
Right.
So I don't know, or have never heard of a credible argument as to why we commit substantially like 58% of the murders, but we're only 13% of the population. I've never heard one.
Well, I mean, to that point, Ty, one thing I will say is I'm not gonna put all my chips into this argument, but I think that it has some credence, right? And it's this idea is like, well, if black people, more specifically black men, right? Because I feel like the overwhelming majority of people who commit these homicides are black men, right? I
I would
don't think
agree
it's
with you.
women. I'm not saying women don't. Women are
Right.
responsible for the highest, as far as children that aren't even not born yet. You know what I mean? They're big on that number. Black women are pretty big on that number. You know what I mean? On babies being deleted. But as far as
they
like,
want to keep that, so they want
right,
that Kamala popping.
that number is
So,
ridiculous, right?
yeah.
But if we think about actual just grown-ups killing each other, it's men, right? What I would say is that you got to understand, like, where did we learn this culture of violence from, bro? Where do you think we learned this culture of violence? You got to remember, I'm not trying to bring the whole slavery card into it, but you got to remember, for centuries, bro, we were brutalized, tortured, lynched.
But that has no
People,
credence on today, though. That
no,
has like,
no, no,
okay,
but I'm saying is we learn from the best. It's what I'm
okay,
trying to tell you.
but
We
wait,
learn
but
from the best.
what he mentioned in in the little segment that we played, that he was like, yo, y'all killed people less before y'all killed each other less before 1965. Those were the people that should have been killing people.
Yeah,
How
bro,
the hell
but
you
that's
skip that group of people?
because we had Jim Crow, and before that we had slavery.
But
If anything,
but before during Jim Crow, we committed less murders, is what I'm saying. Like, that shouldn't that been the time, once they let us out the field, saying, yo, let's go kill each other, let's go crazy, but why skip?
I agree.
Why skip 100 years, like, or 60, 70 years, and then start killing people after 1965? Why?
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I hear your question and I understand it. I just think it's interesting that the people asking the question, Charlie Kirk being a representative of those people, also have a huge history of violence. So it's crazy to talk about one population of people and question why they're so violent when your people have been extremely violent. We've had the King Leopolds, we've had the Hitlers. Right now we have the Bibi Netanyahus bombing brown Palestinians in the Gaza. Like, your people, bro, are barbaric. The stuff that y'all have done, y'all dropped nuclear bombs on people. You dropped an atom bomb on an entire damn city. You see what I'm saying? So like, for a white person to come up and question why we're so like violent and committing so much violence, in my mind, I'm thinking, bro, it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. So like, I understand that we should question that, but at the same time, it's like, bro, what are you talking about?
So
We learned
basically,
from
nobody. So basically, we should. So basically, we just shouldn't have a conversation because other groups of people have killed other groups of people in history. So we should just shut the hell up and just be like, all right, well, it is what it is.
I don't agree. Would you disagree that people like that not all white people, but his ancestors, white people have been have committed some of the most heinous crimes, violent crimes in history. Can you admit to that?
Yeah, I mean, history is full of all of us killing each other. I don't think like
But that's what I'm saying though. Like, yeah, we can talk about our community, but like when a white man is questioning why we're killing each other at such a high rate.
But aren't we doing the same thing that we accuse women of doing every time you and I talk about this? We're like, okay, well, what about the men? Or like we're literally doing the same thing. We're like, well, we can talk about black men, but what about white men? Like,
but it's
the same.
But it's different when a white man is talking to us about it, though. If it was two black people talking, the conversation would be much different. When it's a white man sitting in front of me asking me these questions, I'll be like, bro, like, not only did you enslave my people, we were talking about women who were pregnant and having babies ripped out of their stomachs. Black men being chained to trucks and dragged through entire towns. We're talking about them hanging us and then literally having barbecues around bodies, lynched bodies around.
But talking about but we can never. So if that's the case, we can only a black person can ask, and not like so basically it's racist to even for a white person to even ask the question.
It's just hypocritical. I think it's very hypocritical. I hear you, bro. And listen. I got the Stephen A. clip pulled up that we reacted to months ago, where he talked about Black Lives Matter only when you know what I mean. Like, listen, I got that queued up if we want to revisit that because that's a black man talking about this issue, and I completely agree. And we both agree with Stephen A. Smith. I think my issue is that it's a white man asking these questions, and it's a white man talking to a black person talking about black issues. That for me is when it's like, bro, you can't tell me anything after what your people have done to not just our people, but to people throughout history and are still doing now. You see what I'm saying? That's why I feel like it's hard to have a conversation.
I get it. I understand what you're saying, but that mentality just kills any kind of like racial conversation because it'll always just be, well, your people did this, your people did that, and I'm sure
it's true.
Like you mean like if that's the case, no one can ever have a conversation because the Armenians could be like, well, the Turkish people did this.
We can, bro. You know what I mean? We can, but you can't have a white man sitting in front of me talking about why y'all commit so many murders when they have been the biggest perpetrators of violence. Oftentimes in the name of God. Oftentimes they've used God and religion to commit heinous and violent crimes in the name of God. So,
but it's the same thing. It's the same thing with us. If you or I talk about this and say we go viral from this, they'll say we're Uncle Tom's. Like, let's be honest about it. It has nothing to do with him being a white dude. If you bring this up to a group of black people, they're gonna say, "Bro, why you even like, bro, what? Like, you acting like an Uncle Tom? You know they're gonna say that to you."
Maybe they might.
No, not maybe. You know, it's a
maybe. But another black person can kiss my butt though, because we are. Listen, we've already talked about the fact that we can't even talk about Philly news because every time we open up the news channels, it's nothing but black teenagers, black men killing each other. Every week, it's just black men gunning each other, killing each other. It's crazy, bro. So like we've talked about this, like, yo, Black Lives Matter when? Only when police officers are killing them? Right. Because any other time, look at Chirac. Chicago is insane, bro. Black people killing themselves every week. So, like, I'm with you. I just think in this example, it's hard to talk about it, bro. And listen, this is my only gripe. It's a white boy telling a black woman this.
So how about this? Remove him. Say you and I are talking about it.
Right, so
we don't have the footage of him.
Right, I'm
asking you, yo, why the hell are we 13% of the population, but we commit 58% of the crime, and that's only after the civil rights movement. That's after that, not before.
Okay. So, all right. So remove Charlie Kirk, right? Remove the white. So it's just black folk among each other talking about it. People of color. Okay. All right. So now I'll give you my response. Cultural failure. Cultural failure. We have see what I'm saying? The conversation is different. Yeah. We have become so comfortable operating in the victim mode. In the victim status, we took that victim status as a badge of honor, and for years, decades ago, I feel like it would have had more legitimacy, right? It would have had more clout. But like now, to say that you're still a victim in 2024, I'm like, bro, I'm sorry. That for us, our whole motto on our YouTube channel is like we are tired of the victim mentality, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we rode that for so long that we don't know how to break away from it. And I mean, we speaking generally, because I'm not a part of that. I don't
Right.
see myself as a victim. I'm sorry, bro. I can't be a victim. And like we said
Right.
before, if there's a choice, you can't be a victim. If you can choose to do better, you cannot be a victim. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you have a choice, so I think that a big part of it is cultural failure. A big part of it is just writing out this victim status, and it's sad because it's to our detriment. We can do whatever we want and then just deflect and say it's because we were victims and we were oppressed and it was the white man, instead of
Right.
looking at our own people and saying, okay, we were dealt these cards, but how do we turn this around? How do
Right.
we make things better? And I don't care what anybody says. If you take it away from race or from black people, trauma is given to you,
Right.
right? Trauma, but it is your responsibility alone to heal from that trauma. It might be unfair, but it does
Right.
not matter. Trauma, I'll say that again for the family, because we all experience trauma. Trauma is given to you either through your parents, through your community, through your environment. You trauma, a stranger who assaulted you, you're given trauma. But guess who's responsible from healing for that trauma? You are.
Yeah.
You are. That is your responsibility. So as a group, we have this trauma and we have not healed. And we don't want to take the criticism. We don't want to look
Yeah.
into the mirror and say how we've contributed and perpetuated the BS in our culture. And this is where we are now, bro. So that's my response for removing
Right.
Charlie Kirk from the picture. How do you
Right.
feel about that?
I love it. I love the
See,
response.
see what I'm saying?
I
It's a
think
different vibe when we're talking among
yeah.
ourselves, bro. It
Yeah.
just bothered me that it was a white man talking about this. I'm like, bro, y'all some
Yeah.
of the biggest. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
I honestly feel. Is it possible to cue up that Stephen A. clip so we can add some from another well established, because we talked about him.
Yeah.
It's short,
Yeah.
but I
Let
got
me
it
try to
pulled
pull
up
it
if you
up.
want me to. I got it if you
Oh,
want
you
me to
got it.
cue
Oh
it
yeah.
up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Pull it up. Pull it up.
Just
Absolutely.
not the whole thing, but like we talked about this, and I
Yeah.
think it's so valid for this point because we agreed with him. We were like,
Yeah.
"Yo, Stephen A. Smith went in, right?" So, family, we're gonna just a quick, and then we'll finish this or tie up the conversation. But this is the kind of the energy that we're coming from, and I love this clip. I'll speed it up.
Memorial Day tragedy is what they call it. It's nothing new. In this particular instance, 9 people were shot, including a 1-year-old child in Hollywood, Florida, during an altercation Monday night between 2 groups near a busy area of the beach, according to officials. The gunfire that rang out this Memorial Day weekend was part of at least 262 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year. 262. For those of you who've forgotten, a mass shooting is defined as one in which at least 4 people are shot, excluding the shooter. The injured ranged in age from 1 year of age to 65 years of age. And by the way, the scene joins the list of other common destinations that have been the setting of gun violence thus far this year. That includes schools, grocery stores, birthday parties, and malls. I believe in Queens, New York, the other day, a man got into an argument with his nephew, pulled out his gun, shot him 8 times, and then tried to shoot his niece.
This is a World of Warcraft hardcore.
No, this is why we got to pay for the premium. I'm sorry, family. He's about to start cooking.
I'm looking at some of the cities where these mass shootings have taken place. Monterey Park, California. Allen, Texas. Half Moon Bay, California. Cedar City, Utah. Goshen, California, or Goshen. Coldwater, Mississippi. Henriette, Oklahoma. There's been shootings in New York, New Jersey. There's been shootings in Florida. There's been shootings in Colorado. There's been shootings in Texas. There's been shootings in Utah. There's been shootings in California. This is some serious stuff. And I said it the other day, and I'll say it again. Megyn Kelly, who used to work at Fox News, when she made her quote that put everybody in an uproar, I didn't disagree with her. She said she got sick and tired of people talking about gun laws or gun control because you ain't getting it. There's over 330 Americans in the United States of America. There's over 330 million Americans in the United States of America. There's over 400 million guns.
All right, I'm gonna pause it because I thought this was the clip where he was talking about the black community. Remember that one where we made a
Yeah,
video,
I do remember
bro?
what you're talking about. Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if this is the one, but I thought it was, right? But I'm gonna unshare my screen. But just to touch on what he said, we made a video about this one, family, and Stephen A. Smith basically said we're always in an uproar. If it's a cop killing a black person, that'll run in the media, that'll go viral, that'll get us riled up. But he was talking about all these murders that were happening in Chicago and these urban cities, black people killing each other. He's like, why? How come black lives only matter when they're killed, when they're taken by cops? Right? Remember that, Ty? And he's just like, we kill each other at alarming rates, but you don't hear the uproar about that. We're not out there protesting. We're not out there in the streets rioting because of black people killing each other. Where's that energy at? Right? And when we agreed, bro, We're
Yeah,
just like, right, like
1000%,
we
1000%.
right. That's what I'm saying, bro. So when you
Yeah,
take the white ball out of it, I mean, I don't even mess with Charlie Kirk or like that. But like when you
yeah,
take him out of it, I'm like, bro, I agree. It's
yeah.
sad that we can't talk about it without people getting defensive or deflecting it and blame it on the white man or blaming it on the government or blaming it on slavery. It's like, bro, we can't keep blaming all
My
of our issues. Yeah,
right. I'm sorry. My issue with that statistic, right, the 13% versus the 58% of the homicides or murders or whatever, is like it gives like ammunition to people who don't like black people. It
right.
gives ample ammunition. It gives like a damn bazooka, a couple hand grenades, because it's like, yo, listen, because they could easily say they could be at one of their rallies or whatever. Let's say behind closed doors. You mean they take the
Yeah,
smartphones away? They just talking. You know what I mean? White man to white man. Let's just say, right? And they're like, yo, if we could somehow magically remove 13% of this population, put them on an island, a country by themselves somewhere, murders and homicides would go down by 58% overnight. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy that they can actually say that. Like
Hmm.
like right now, the damn the migrants in New York, they're making up right now 75% of the arrests in certain parts of New York. 75% of the arrests in New York. A group of people that shouldn't be here anyway. You just take them out of New York, put them back in Venezuela. New York's safer. New York's a safer place to live. So I don't like it, bro. It's like, I mean, I agree with what you said, man. It's just it's a failure of
It's a,
leadership. It's a failure. Like, it's like,
it's culture.
you
It's a
know
culture failure.
the culture. But yo, bro, we don't dislike this as a culture. We say we do, but yo, our media celebrates this. Our
We
music
rap about
celebrates
it.
this.
All of our raps is about killing each other. The popular
Yeah,
mainstream rap is about killing each other, killing your
right.
ops. Like people make money off of our death,
That's
off of our violence, and we blast it. We blast it all the
right,
time in our radios when we're driving around the city. Like I hear it all the time. Like we kind
right.
of we promote it, bro. And
We promote it.
it's
It's so
sad,
cool. It's like, I
right?
mean, like smoking on a pack of whoever you just, you know what I mean, killed. Like, it's that's the thing. And it's always been a thing. Even when we were young, listening to gangster rap. I mean, I can't speak for people, but my dude was Beanie Siegel. Beanie Siegel was always talking about some pistol whipping somebody, coming up in the crib,
Right,
pop, pop. You know what I mean?
right,
You know what I mean? Like,
right,
get
right,
rich or
right.
die trying. Like, come on, man. It's just,
And
it's,
it's sad. It's sad. And I'll add the point. I'll add the point that Ti made a long time ago when someone asked him like, how come so much of rap is just like violent and about gangster life and drug dealing? And Ti said, listen, art is a reflection of your environment. So if this is what we're surrounded by and this is what we see on a day-to-day basis, this is what we're going to rap about. So
yeah,
to an extent, I understand art does reflect your environment and your reality, right? So like if you're in these environments, this is what you're going to rap about. But damn, y'all, after a certain while, it's like we keep pushing this in the mainstream. And even people living in the burbs, people living in middle class lives, people living
yeah,
like people who ain't living in environments like that are still blasting and perpetuating this music. And all music has influence. It carries an energy, it carries a vibration, and it pushes people to do stupid things at times and very violent things as well. And we've made it cool to be murderers. We've made it cool to shoot you up. We don't even fight no more,
yeah,
bro. Everybody just shoots.
yeah.
Wait, so no,
Especially in
yeah,
like what you mentioned in the social media age. Like, you take it, somebody record you getting that ass beat. Oh, you got it. They got it. Somebody not surviving there. Like,
you can't.
somebody is piecing
Right,
out because the person is too embarrassed. So people are rather like, hey, I would rather pop than go out here, have some throw a fair one with somebody, have somebody record it and put it on Instagram, because I'm gonna be
right,
embarrassed. I'd rather just go to jail for the rest of my life than
yeah.
than than lose this fight. Like,
Yeah. No, no, I'm with it, bro.
mm,
And just, we'll wrap this up, but like just talking to our family and of course to our people in Philly, like Philly is out of pocket. Like
yeah,
Philly has changed so much, bro. And it makes me sad to see the amount of gun violence that we're still experiencing. And not only that, but the kids are getting younger in age, right? Getting so much younger in age. And we're not even going to bring up because it's not relevant, but there was a mass shooting a few days ago by the bull Colt Grayson. It happened, in that school. I think it was in what it was in some state. Did you hear about that, John? With a 14-year-old went into a school, killed two teachers, two students,
I think I
injured a
heard
couple
about
others.
it.
It was the recent
Yeah,
mass shooting that went viral. And it was a white bull, but that's not the point.
yeah,
What I'm saying is we already have a culture of gun violence in this country, but like as far as the black community, bro, the fact that we kill each other at such alarming rates, it breaks my heart.
yeah,
Nothing justifies that. You can't blame that. Like for me, you can't blame it on the white man. I don't care what I went through with slavery and Jim Crow when it's my brother with a gun in front of me, ready to shoot and kill me for what I got. The white man didn't make him do that. He chose to do that. You see what I'm saying? Like there's certain things that you just
1,000%.
can't. You got to stop blaming on history, like, and take accountability. But we don't want to take accountability. We rather just say
No.
it's the white man. We want justice. Everybody
Yeah.
want justice. But listen, bro, this is a frustrating conversation for me. I don't want to go
Yeah.
into the deep end, but yeah.
All right, family. Let us know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe. Definitely comment. We can have a conversation about it. Cool. Let us know if Joe and I are Uncle Toms. If you mean, so, 'cause I imagine some people would think that. So
Yeah, probably.
I mean, because I think that. Well, I'm gonna end it, but I think the most prudent thing to do in the Black community is not talk about it. Like people just don't want to talk about this kind of stuff because they like if it sounds bad, don't talk about it. And it's like,
Right.
I mean, whatever. Until next time, family. Let us know what y'all talking about.
All right, y'all. Be safe.